Goodbye. And hello to the stream. If you don't mind me, I'm just gonna fat chill here for a minute while we wait for people to show up in the chat. Alright, well it looks like Peter is ready to go. So at this point, we are just waiting for ComplexPlane to get himself all put together, get himself over to the story mode, and then we'll be ready to get this race underway. Yeah, we'll be ready to get this race underway. Whoever's in the chat, press 1. If you're not in the chat, press 2. And if you exist in a quantum state in between the two, well, you know what to do. Title is not changed. Can somebody change the title? Hello? Hello? Is anybody there? Someone needs to change the title, or so I'm told. Looks like ComplexPlane is just about ready. I like both of their file names. ComplexPlane has not told me he is ready. Alright, there it is. Well, with that being said, I think we are ready to go. And we are going to count down as I type. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, looks like I have both of their streams relatively in sync. This is going to be a very interesting race. ComplexPlane, as far as I know, hasn't been... He's been doing a lot of practice lately, but and I could be mistaken on this, but I don't think he's been playing and practicing as much as Peter and A-List and all the other, you know, North American runners right now. It's very possible he's just been doing it off-stream. Regardless, he's... you know, made it pretty far in the tournament so far. This is absolutely going to be an interesting race. ComplexPlane and Peter being 2 out of the 3 North American small runners who have managed to achieve a sub 30. I'm sure Peter's feeling quite confident in himself, you know, especially since he got his win off Taco earlier in the tournament. Hopefully ComplexPlane doesn't, you know, let the stress get to his head, let the anxiety get to him. Because we all know that this could go either way. So far, it's been a pretty uneventful World 1. Everything's kind of just gone as, you know, as expected. It's gone on par. It's obviously a little bit hard to tell because the streams are off sync, at least for me, on my end. But it appears as though they're both pretty much just completely even with each other. We'll see if that remains the case after World 1. It remains to be seen whether either of these players are going to go for curve bridge frames. Could be both, could be neither, could be one or the other. And depending on how those go, if whoever does them, that'll be a huge factor in determining who takes the lead out of World 1. Most of these other stages are so consistent for these players that they're just not even considered. They're just not even worth talking about. Here it is. Curve bridge. ComplexPlane going for the frames, as well as Peter. ComplexPlane. Ooh, not a great start. Peter can nail this first try, that's going to be solidly in the lead going into World 2. Ooh, some rough pausing at the end there. As a matter of fact... Oh, exit game from ComplexPlane, wrenching a few more seconds out of his favor. Peter with a nice lead going into World 2. Of a few seconds, about half a stage, I'd say. That's pretty nice. ComplexPlane, for anyone who doesn't know, ComplexPlane actually very recently, if not today, then yesterday, developed a practice hack for practicing individual worlds much more easily. And was going pretty ham on that earlier today. Hopefully that practice has him nice and warmed up. Here, we're probably going to see Peter go for his classic pauseless coaster. He's pioneered it. Very few players attempt it. Naturally, he gets it first try. ComplexPlane having to do a bit of adjustment there. But, you know, does it just fine. So far, nothing hugely of note happening in this race so far. They're quite even. Pretty much the biggest mistake so far has been having to retry relatively early on in the curve bridge frames for ComplexPlane. Not a huge deal, that's fine. Ooh, Peter's going pretty fast. He doesn't go for the first ramp on Gravity Slider. I think he had enough speed that he could have done it. ComplexPlane, though, not quite, going for the second ramp, and rightfully so. Interestingly, ComplexPlane has been practicing a different version of Gravity Sliders, where instead of going slow and getting nice and aligned with the ramp on the way to the goal, he's been trying to go straight into the tape after the second bounce. He didn't go for it here. I wonder if it's because of, you know, he wanted to play it safe. You know, he's not feeling too confident in it. But so far, for both players, this World 2 has been near perfect. We'll see if alternative frames can shift the balance yet again. Peter gets them. First try. As does ComplexPlane. And so they're both being... they're still both going to be pretty even going into the next world, with Peter maintaining a small lead. Here, though, a lot of things can go wrong. Reversible gear, although it is only one frame, the adjustment is pretty tight. Either player could mess that up. This is the same goes for 8 bracelets, or sorry, no, not 8 bracelets. Mad rings, if they try to go for the 0.1 time save that involves boosting at the start. They both got reversible gear in one try, very nice. Peter going for the one bounce on almost all of the platforms on the way down for stepping stones saves quite a bit of time. Same for ComplexPlane. Tit for tat, same thing. Peter's probably going to try and go for the super fast dribbles where he gets flunked straight into the tape, and he gets it, if only narrowly. I'm not sure exactly what strat ComplexPlane goes for here. Same thing. Wow. Look at this. If it wasn't for Curve Bridge, these two players would be having a nearly identical run so far. Is he going to go for the save? Yes, it looks like he is. Peter's going to go for the small time save, and he gets it. ComplexPlane taking it a little bit slower. We'll see if free fall, or not free fall, downhill changes things. Because despite the simplicity of this stage, it is surprisingly difficult. Many players have failed downhill. You know, lost runs to downhill. Lost a lot of time, but nope. Peter's on top of it. ComplexPlane with one fallout on downhill. Hopefully he doesn't let that get to him. Gets it second try. Slowly but surely, Peter is pulling ahead. The run that ComplexPlane is on right now is still pretty good. It just so happens that Peter's on, so far, an almost perfect run. Despite a bit of slow pausing on Curve Bridge, it's been pretty fantastic. Peter's run has been great. And so, despite the fact that ComplexPlane has also been playing rather well, only one retry and one death, he's still an entire stage behind. Is he gonna go for A-list Beehive? No. Taking Beehive nice and easy. I find it interesting that, ooh, ComplexPlane going for the A-list Beehive, really wants to pull ahead absolutely wherever he can, playing confidently, playing strong, and he gets it first try. Very nice. Uh-oh. This could be exactly what ComplexPlane needs. Just like that. They are back into, I didn't phrase that right. They are tied, once again. Neck and neck. All it took is one stage. It just so happened that the one stage was probably the worst stage that Peter could have lost time on. Dynamic Maze. Seems like both players are going for green goal launchers. And they both get it. Can you believe this? This is how you know you're watching phenomenal players. They both go for these, frankly, very difficult strats, and they get them consistently almost every time. Peter having a bit of an oopsie on randomizer, but very clean save, gets right into the red goal without a whole lot of bouncing and wiggling around. Oh no, ComplexPlane tried to go for the straightaway green goal, missing it one time, which is going to put him a little bit behind. Peter taking the pause frame that he knows and he is comfortable with. ComplexPlane finally gets it. That's unfortunate. Once again, he's gone back to being a little bit behind, but, you know, not super far behind. He's only behind by about a stage. Which, as you saw earlier, can change in the matter of a moment. Now, I'm not sure if my eyes deceived me there because I was looking over at ComplexPlane's stream for a moment, but it looked like Peter retried on seesaw bridges. So, you know, that's going to give ComplexPlane some more opportunity to even it back up. And with that, Peter and Complex enter World 5, with Peter a good 6 seconds ahead of his opponent. Peter's going to go for Wormhole Skip and not going to get it. And more importantly, he's not even going to retry. Peter normally likes to retry whenever he misses Wormhole Skip, because if you get it even third try, it is on par with going through the wormhole. And so just like that, ComplexPlane had the lead for a moment, and then when he missed the goal on freefall, elected to actually continue the attempt instead of retrying and attempting to fall into the tape again. Very interesting completion on Melting Pot from Peter, bouncing off the rim of the box. For those who are unaware, that is not the intended strategy. Very much so was a mistake, but one that worked out in Peter's favor, or in nobody's favor, didn't really affect his time. And also looked pretty dope. ComplexPlane getting denied by the goalpost. Not allowed to go through the tape quite yet. Peter still with about a 5-second lead right now. And we're almost halfway through the run, so such a small lead is pretty awesome. It's pretty dope. Got a close race on our hands, everybody. Taco Toggle from Peter. Taco Toggle from Complex. For those who are curious, Taco Toggle is a slightly faster version of the stage where you go on the left immediately and bounce off one of the rotating platforms. Oh, that's very unfortunate. ComplexPlane having a little bit of trouble on fluctuation, gets a bounce that he's not exactly prepared for and goes sailing into one of the holes. And with that, Peter once again pulls ahead just a little bit more. Peter now holds about a 13, 14 second lead? No, it's about 10 seconds. About a 10-second lead. Oh no. I was hoping that combination would pass without much fanfare, but ComplexPlane having some trouble with it twice in a row. It seems like he's not getting enough speed. He keeps falling just short of the goal platform and bouncing off of the edge of it, which is knocking him into the party ball. Happened twice in a row. Again, Peter continues to pull ahead. ComplexPlane's gonna really have to pull out all the stops if he wants to catch back up at this point. Either that or Peter's gonna have to make some pretty big mistakes. Peter cleanly clearing the green wire. ComplexPlane nailing the opera pause, what I believe to be first try. Peter going for the easy peasy cliff strat as opposed to the super duper fast and epic one. At this point, I believe that Peter need only play for consistency. He doesn't need to go for all of the hardest strats as long as he doesn't fail the easier ones. And he should be able to maintain his lead unless ComplexPlane pulls out some crazy, crazy stuff. ComplexPlane going for the fast cliffs. Unfortunately misses the second hit on the platform, which makes the entrance angle much harder. Twice in a row, but can he save it? No. If he had gone forward and attempted to bounce off the wall, there's a chance he could have saved it. Third try. Peter continues to pull ahead. Peter's gonna take this safe. He's not gonna try and get the early cycle on folders. Doesn't need to. All he needs to do is play safe and play consistently. And he will maintain this lead. Hopefully ComplexPlane can pull something out of a hat. A very nice first cycle on Spiral Bridge from Peter. Oh, that's extremely painful. No, ComplexPlane failing. The amazing, the one and only Steven Switch Inferno. Peter right now is actually on quite good pace. He's a little bit behind his PB, but not a lot. To be fair, though, neither is ComplexPlane. ComplexPlane's actually only a minute off of his PB right now. Unfortunately missing the first cycle on Spiral Bridge. But the fact that both of these players are still so close to their PBs is just it's an indicator of how consistent they are. Peter unfortunately missing the 61 frame on Flock, attempting the 60. And missing the adjustment slightly, having to retry. That's very nice for ComplexPlane. More opportunity to pull ahead, more opportunity to even it back up. ComplexPlane with a nice and fast domino. Peter with the incredibly narrow angle into the bottom of Hierarchy for the one bounce into the tape strat. Nails it first try, as expected. ComplexPlane having no issues with the Civ frames. It looked like he had to do a kind of a wacky backup set. Nails it though. Very nice. Peter heading into double spiral. He's gonna want to get the first cycle on double spiral, or fast double spiral rather, which means he is liable to fail it. But no, he gets it first try. Very nice. ComplexPlane though, he's not very far behind. He's a few stages behind, but again, a few mistakes from Peter and consistent good play from ComplexPlane. And, you know, this could all very much change. Fast pistons first try, very nice. The fact remains that nothing is set in stone, and ComplexPlane can very well still pull ahead, given the right circumstances. But it's looking rough. ComplexPlane has only just now gotten out of World 7. He's almost 40 seconds behind his opponent. That's rough. It's gonna take a pretty high-tier fail from Peter for ComplexPlane to be able to pull ahead here. However, of course, we still have about 25 stages left. We still have almost an entire quarter of the game remaining. And that leaves a lot to go wrong, especially since a lot of the hardest and least consistent stages are in World 10. Not to mention nerves and anxiety pulling at you whenever you're attempting the pauses. And ultimately, we've seen what Invisible can do to players throughout the course of the last tournament and this tournament. It's not over until someone crosses the goal tape on Created By. No matter what anyone says. ComplexPlane having some trouble on Entangled Path. That's unfortunate. Entangled Path is a stage notorious not just among skilled... Again, not coming out right. Entangled Path is a stage notorious not just among newer runners and unskilled players, but pro players alike. That green goal is rough, and it takes a great deal of practice to get consistent. That's true, Zelda Cubes. After all, there's no rule that precludes you doing the stages in a different order. If players wanted, they could play World 10 out of order and have a different stage for the last stage. However, that would incur load times whenever you select the stage, because the game does attempt to preload stages that it thinks you're going to play next. And so if you go out of order, it does have to unload the previous stage and load the new one, which can lose you some time. Generally, the load manipulations that are done by switching to a different stage in earlier worlds do save time because they allow the cutscene to load during the final stage of the world. So even if it does lose you a bit of time loading the different stage, it's overall a time save because of the cutscene. Very nice linear seesaws from ComplexPlane. No slowdown at all at the end. Let's see if he goes for warp frames. Looks like he is. Hopefully he can get it first try. Peter's not going to make this easy for him, though. Getting guillotine frames also first try. Holy crud. ComplexPlane pulling up into World 9. Unfortunately, almost an entire world behind at this point. Bit of a rough twin basin for Peter, but he pulls it out. Little bit scary on cross floors. He almost lost too much speed to be able to make it to the next platform, ComplexPlane. Very speedy corkscrew happening on Peter's screen right now. Hopefully he doesn't go sailing past the goal. No, he knows what he's doing. Has somebody still not updated the title? Y'all, I don't have the power to do that crap. I'm just a commentator. This is, Petresinc. Petresinc Incorporated versus ComplexPlane. Peter has made his way into World 10. Let's see how he does on Gimmick. As we all know, Gimmick has received some pretty crazy new frame sets as of late. They save quite a bit of time, but they're quite a few more frames to have to hit. Ooh, look at that. Peter goes for the nice and easy gimmick. The freezy gimmick, as some might call it. I'm the only one who calls it that. Only 3 frames he has to hit, as opposed to like 4 or 5. Very nice twin basin on ComplexPlane's part. Peter's gonna have to make some pretty big mistakes in this World 10 for ComplexPlane to even have a chance of recovering. Especially... Oh, I thought he first framed air hockey. For those who are unaware, a first frame is what happens whenever you go to stage select too soon after crossing the goal tape. The bit in memory that determines whether you've actually completed a stage only activates 1 frame after the goal tape has been broken. Actually, that might be wrong. I think it might be 2 frames. And so if you go to stage select too early, it actually doesn't count, even if you have crossed the tape. Well, that's looking like it's a pretty good start for ComplexPlane's return to the front of this race, I mean. Peter failing Labyrinth not once, but twice. ComplexPlane gets the very, very fast gimmick. Straight up the ramp with a ton of speed. This is what we were talking about earlier, everybody. There is still a chance, albeit a small one. ComplexPlane has been playing pretty hot for the past 15-16 stages. He's been getting pretty much every difficult strat first try. And that's what he's going to need to do if he's going to pull ahead here. But with Peter approaching the end of World 10, it looks like he's on his way to a very fast completion of Revolution. Yeah, this is rough. Peter's gonna have to struggle on Invisible and Created By for a very, very long time if ComplexPlane is gonna take this win. He's going for the frames. If Peter knew how far ahead he was, he would do these stages normally. He's got the time. He doesn't need to do the frames. But he's going for them. He's going for them. There's Invisible. Takes it nice and easy. Doesn't want to bonk off the party ball and go flying into the abyss. And here it is. The final stage. As soon as he crosses this tape, it's 1-0 Peter. Having a little bit of trouble on Created By, he's going to have to back it up, and he does so with ease. Peter has taken round 1. Or game 1, rather. Very nice gameplay. Peter getting a 30-01, almost a sub 30. In a race, too. Very outstanding play. He had a bit of trouble on Labyrinth, which unfortunately cost him the sub 30, but altogether, Peter played phenomenally. ComplexPlane also played extremely well. He's going to get a sub 31, but unfortunately it just wasn't well enough. Very nice. Good round to both players. With that, it is 1-0 in Peter's favor. Give me a moment. I just need to ask somebody for a small clarification on the race so far. Okay, at this point, we're just going to wait for them both to ready up, and then we will do the next countdown for round 2 of ComplexPlane versus Petresinc Incorporated. That was for all the ladies out there. Peter going to practice Labyrinth a little bit after flubbing it during the race. Gets it first try. Pieces out. He's feeling confident, I feel. Zelda cubed. That hurts me. The way that you've used that apostrophe S. I feel like that's incorrect. I'm trying to read that as a possessive apostrophe S. not a contraction. Alright, ComplexPlane is ready. Peter with the interesting story mode title, Pomclex. Making a funny little play on his racing opponent's name. Alright, both players are ready. We're going to do our countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Give it a second. And we move swiftly into the second round of this match. Because this is a best of 3, this is match point for Peter. If he can pull out a second win in a row, that's it. The entire set goes to Peter. However, of course, as we all saw, ComplexPlane wasn't particularly far behind. Only about a minute was the first round lost by. So with some good, confident play from ComplexPlane, and some less good, less confident play from Peter, well, the tides could just as easily turn. A nice 52 bumpy from ComplexPlane. I wasn't quite focused on the timer, but it looked like a 51 from Peter. Both players having no issues whatsoever with Switch's green goal, except for an unfortunate miss menu from ComplexPlane, losing a few seconds to the exit game. Hopefully he can make up for that with some exceptional pausing on Curve Bridge, because as we've seen, both players are going to go for the frames. A nice clip on floaters, loses very, very little horizontal speed, and his huge amount of airtime lets him accelerate forward with no friction. Gets a nice fast finish. Unfortunately misses the second bounce on slopes. Oh, and he still has just enough velocity on Make It. Good job, Peter. Some unfortunate walls for ComplexPlane on slopes, but optimal movement in the air, he still makes it with ease. Very fast sliders for Peter. Also very fast sliders. Both players getting a 52 sliders. Quite a bit harder than you might anticipate. What happened to Complex? You're gonna have to clarify which stage. I have a memory of about 2 seconds. Like a goldfish. Actually, wasn't that disproved? Never mind. Don't talk to me. Both players going for frames. ComplexPlane is a little bit behind, but not by very much. And that changes very quickly. Oh, right. ComplexPlane exit gamed. That's why he's behind. And unfortunately, he also missed the frames a single time. Hopefully, he nails them nice and quickly this time around so that he can not, go any further behind. And he does. Very nice. Wait, Complex Plane died on Hollow? I completely missed that. Holy crud. This is why you should have a co-commentator. A nice save on Eaton Floor from Peter. As he's sailing into the hole, he corrects upright and tries to smash a corner. Saved his life, sent him flying just far enough up. Complex Plane going for the easy peasy Eaton Floor, the safe, the tried, the true. Beautiful. A beautiful death on pauseless coaster from Peter. That's fine. That's the risk you have to take when you do something like that in a race. Complex Plane with a very late frame on coaster. Misses it! Oh, but he saves it. Lands right back on the platform. Fantastic recognition on his part to not instantly retry, but to notice that his ball was sent almost directly perpendicular away from the goal tape. He knew he could save it, and that it would save time over retrying. Very nice recognition there. A lot of newer players to the game have an over tendency to retry early. Ooh, very fast setup on Gravity Slider. Goes for the first ramp. Peter is looking at a 47 here. Very nice. Let's see if Complex Plane can match it. Not as nice an exit off the spawn platform. But oh, Complex Plane is going for the second bounce on Gravity Slider, I think. No, he chickens out. It's okay. He's only about a second back from Peter on that stage. Everything considered, Complex Plane is still only about a stage and a half behind. Peter nails alternative frames in but a single try. Let's see how Complex Plane takes it. Also first try. Very nice. This is what I mean. Despite the fact that we're seeing some deaths from both players, some retries, you can see that their consistency is still... It's hard to match. It's hard to match. These many frame strats are not easy to pull off. A bit of a rough organic form on Complex Plane's part, but manages to pull through without a whole lot of time loss. Yeah, I get all my fruits from the organic farm. Yeah, I'm a vegan. We're likely going to see both players go for the super fast dribbles yet again. Peter losing a bit of time to a pretty rough frame set, but, you know, he still pulls through. That's the Peter we all know and love. Even though he's a pause head, he still refuses to learn wormhole pauses. Fun fact about Peter, he could have been joking about this. Also, very nice dribbles from Complex Plane. Gets the super fast one. Peter unfortunately missing the fast Mad Rings and losing a couple seconds to bouncing off of the goal. Unfortunate, but at least he didn't die. But yeah, I don't know if he was joking about this, but Peter says that even whenever he's watching another runner play, he looks away from the screen whenever they attempt the wormhole pauses so that he's not inclined to try and learn the frames. He thinks that as long as he's not tempted, he'll continue to attempt wormhole pauseless. The man is dedicated to his craft and to his principles. But as you can see, it also did cause him to lose quite a bit of time to Complex Plane in the previous race. So, you know. So far, this World 2 has been pretty uneventful. A few minor flubs here and there, but ComplexPlane having to air boost like crazy to make it into the goal on downhill, and unfortunately ends up exiting game. Still falling a little bit behind, but again, even this lead can be surmounted if Peter makes one relatively large mistake. For example, if he screws up on Dynamic Maze again, or if he dies on any one of these stages. Something you might find interesting is that Peter has a pretty different giant comb setup from most other players, and sometimes it costs him, as you just saw. He goes to the side early, almost immediately on the spawn platform, and as a result subjects himself to more potential to mismanaged speed from speed bumps, since you can't expect the same result on the spawn platform every single time. ComplexPlane makes it through the same stage without issue. The lead continues to close. ComplexPlane going again for the A-list Beehive. Nailing it twice in a row. Fantastic play. Peter not making the same mistake as before, gets Dynamic Maze in but a single try. And as we can see, things are evening up. ComplexPlane also just finishing Dynamic Maze. Taking triangle holes nice and easy, not opting to go for the slightly faster boost strategy. Slightly faster and riskier, I might add. That's one green goal launchers. Let's one Gronchers. Let's see if ComplexPlane's got it. Indeed he does. Fantastic play from both players. Very nice Gronchers, I might say. Peter not making the same mistakes on randomizer as before. Manages to get the exact intended strategy. Let's hope that ComplexPlane can not struggle on coin slots the way he did before. Ideally, he'll get this in one try. Last run, he attempted this strategy and failed it twice. That's once. Come on. We're all believing in you, ComplexPlane. We're sending you our energy. And he gets it second try. Very nice. Losing a little bit of time, but less than last time. And of course, with that being said, I can't quite tell. Did Peter do another retry on Seesaw Bridges? I wasn't quite looking. But I feel like the lead should be a little bit larger than this if he didn't. Well, with that being said, ComplexPlane is on the same stage as Peter right now, Seesaw Bridges. So the lead is indeed getting smaller. If Peter misses Wormhole Skip, pauseless, then that... Oh dear, almost Peter saves it by going onto the wire. But he loses his balance. He fumbles. He stumbles. This is just what ComplexPlane needed. If he can nail this pause strat first try, he'll be almost even. And it looks like he does. Fantastic. With that, the lead has almost completely closed. Bit of a scary free fall. He had a rough angle, and he wasn't quite far enough, so he had to air boost in order to make it. No funny business on Melting Pot like last time. Thank goodness. Smooth entry onto the shuffles on Mad Shuffle for Peter. ComplexPlane gets a medium bounce. Almost gets party balled out of the goal. You'll notice that some players tend to go neutral at the end of the spinners on Mad Shuffle to avoid exactly that, but ComplexPlane, he's confident. He's rash. He's crazy. I'm not exactly sure why he retried there, but he certainly did. Must have messed up the frame and not realized it. That's unfortunate. ComplexPlane is maybe 8 seconds behind right now. One single mistake from Peter can even this up. Clean fluctuation on Peter's part. Let's see if ComplexPlane can match it. He had a bit of trouble on this stage in the last round. Hopefully he'll get it cleanly this time. Very nice. On the top of the crate. A little bit of a scare there, almost bouncing into one of the holes in front of the goal, but he makes it with ease. Kind of practiced ease we can all only come to expect from these incredible players. Some nice clips on zigzag slope from both players as well. They both make it into World 6 on good pace with their PBs. Peter decided to go for the slightly slower combination, but ComplexPlane once again went for the fast alternative strategy and gets it first try. That's exactly what he needs. More stuff like that. That'll be what allows ComplexPlane to pull ahead in this race. Even if Peter doesn't make mistakes, if ComplexPlane goes for the faster strategies and gets them first try, well, that'll really help in turning the tables. Gets the backup frame set on Opera, I believe. ComplexPlane nails it though. What a champion. What a monster. What an awesome gamer. Peter having a bit of trouble on tiers, almost wobbles off the green goal wire, but stabilizes. Peter again going for the easy peasy cliffs. If ComplexPlane can get the fast version first try this time, that'll be another extra little bit of time save. That pulls him closer and closer. And he's going for it. And he gets it! Fantastic. ComplexPlane is really turning things around with this round. He's getting almost everything first try. So despite the fact that Peter is playing near perfectly, ComplexPlane is absolutely keeping up. They're still only about one stage apart. Peter going for the good old Steven Switch Inferno, gets it first try. Very nice. ComplexPlane had a bit of trouble on this, but with the way things are going, yep. Looks like he's getting it first try. Fantastic. Fantastic play from ComplexPlane. Peter gets greedy. Peter gets so greedy. He had absolutely no need to go for that early cycle, yet he goes for it twice! Twice in a row! Peter lets the greed fill his body. Third time's the charm, and he gets the first cycle on folders. But it doesn't matter. 2 fails in a row, that's all it takes. They were so close to each other. But ComplexPlane pulls ahead. And gets a first cycle on Spiral Bridge. If Peter wants even a chance of recovering that tremendous loss, he's going to need to pull out the same thing. And he does. God, can you believe how good these players are? Despite the fact that Peter got extremely greedy on folders. and the tides have been turned. For the first time in this round, and this set so far, ComplexPlane has the lead. And with the way he's been playing this entire round, which is to say, extremely hot, he should be able to maintain this lead with relative ease. We'll see, though. Clean sieve from ComplexPlane. Can Peter match it? Ooh, bit of a scary, scary frame set, but he does it, and he does it clean. I didn't quite catch what frame ComplexPlane got on Flock. Hopefully it was the 61. We all saw Peter failed the 60 frame last time. Oh no, it was the 60 and he screws up the adjustment. That's a retry. And another retry for missing the frames. Just as quickly as ComplexPlane took the lead, it's taken back from him. He gets the 61 though. One bounce into the goal on Hierarchy, twice in a row, very nice. ComplexPlane, as before, going for the little bit easier, the little bit slower Hierarchy. Doesn't bounce straight into the goal. Peter does the setup on 8 bracelets incorrectly. He turns at the wrong time and ends up getting a speed bump at the end of the spawn platform, which screws him up and he misses. Once again, just like that, ComplexPlane. Not in the lead, but it's about even now. Peter is only a few seconds ahead. Both players going into double spiral at about the same time. Which means that if either player fails fast double spiral, and of course, they both get it first try. Fantastic play. And so we go into World 8 nearly even between these two players. ComplexPlane, in fact, is on pace to PB if he keeps playing this well. He's only 5 seconds behind his best ever run. Which means that with great play combined with potentially new strategies not used in his PB, he could get an even faster 29 in this race. Whether that'll happen or not is yet to be seen. After all, we've still got 2 of the hardest worlds coming up. Well, that is including World 8, I mean, of course. Wow, very interesting play from Peter there. He went for the fast outside route on momentum, but he screwed up the clip and had to very quickly and messily correct himself to the inside, because he knew he didn't have enough speed to make it to the other side. And he does it, though. He makes it. He manages to clear momentum on the inside. And unfortunately, whatever time save that save might have netted him is lost, as he fails twice in a row on Entangled Path. And with that, ComplexPlane pulls ahead again. The lead is changing hands so much, everybody. These last few worlds have been crazy. They've been freaking crazy, guys. Holy crud. ComplexPlane is currently in a pretty comfortable lead of about an entire stage, and then some. Like I said before, Entangled Path, it's notorious, it's infamous among players of all skill levels. And you all saw exactly why. Strong gameplay once again from ComplexPlane. Doesn't even slow down for linear seesaws. Straight into the goal. We're on to warp frames. If ComplexPlane can get this first try, then he's assured to maintain this lead moving into World 9. And it looks like he does. Fantastic play. If Peter wants to catch up, he's gonna have to get these frames first try. Uh-oh, and he misses one of the frames, but thankfully manages to save it. He's gonna be a bit slow, a bit worse for wear, but he's got this. ComplexPlane is giving him a little break, failing making it into the red goal on serial jump just once. He said, Peter, I'll give you this. You can have a chance. Peter does not squander it. Straight into the red goal. First try. But regardless, ComplexPlane's still looking to have a healthy lead. About an entire stage. Very nice. As long as he plays consistently, as long as he plays cleanly, he should be able to maintain this lead moving into World 10. After all, a lot of players will tell you World 9 is one of the easiest late-game worlds. Very little that can go wrong. But unfortunately, the things that can go wrong in World 9 go wrong spectacularly. Guillotine and Corkscrew are two stages that are kind of easy to mess up, and when you do, ooh boy, that's a hefty hit to your time. ComplexPlane gets Guillotine first try, which is one of two challenging stages out of the way. Twin Basin also can be a little bit rough, but less so. Oh, Peter fails Guillotine once. But gets it. But he gets it. Don't even worry about it. Something I find kind of interesting is that ComplexPlane goes for the... we'll come back to that in a second. He unfortunately has a very, very sad death on Twin Basin. Gets it second try, though. Excellent. Well, not excellent, but it could have been much worse. Something interesting I find is that ComplexPlane goes for the right side on Twin Basin. Wow, a very, very narrow ending to Twin Basin for Peter. He almost nearly didn't make it onto the goal platform. I also didn't know that ComplexPlane goes for the upright strategy on air hockey, which I believe is a good bit faster than the neutral strategy. In any case, most players start on the left side on Twin Basin. I'm not exactly sure what led ComplexPlane to attempt going on the right instead, whether that's something that, you know, a conclusion he came to himself, or if he knew about the original strategy, but he wasn't consistent at it, and he tried the right side and decided he liked it better. But most players go on the left side on that stage. Kind of similar to how most players go on the left side on downhill. You almost never see players drop off the right there. In any case, both players have made it into World 10. Again, ComplexPlane maintaining a small lead. And if he can get these gimmick frames first try, he will... I spoke too soon. Spoke too soon, everybody, with that. Unless Peter has some trouble with these frames. And unfortunately, he doesn't. ComplexPlane thankfully gets it second try. So, time lost, but crisis averted. Both players are now almost completely even. Everybody, we are in the last 10 stages of the world, and both players are only seconds apart. Seconds! We've seen this so many times throughout the entirety of this tournament so far. Races that are completely neck and neck up until the very last moment. It makes you wonder if there's some kind of narrative causality that's making this tournament as dope as humanly possible. Every single tournament, every single race between the top players has been an absolute nail-biter. Peter missing a frame on Labyrinth, wastes a bunch of time doing pauses that he didn't need to do because he missed a frame. ComplexPlane gets it first try and once again pulls ahead. The lead keeps changing hands. If he can get Postmodern frames first try. Oh gosh. ComplexPlane gets the backup. He missed one of the frames, but he knows his backups. Both these players know their backups, and he manages to clutch it out. Peter also going for a backup set, but not knowing the right frame or the right input. So even though ComplexPlane just failed Revolution a single time, it doesn't quite matter. He's still ahead by quite a fair amount, and he gets it second try. But we can see how close this is. All it takes is a few mistakes from ComplexPlane, and Invisible or Created By are both prime stages to make huge mistakes on. We've seen it so many times, races decided by the final two stages of the final two worlds. Sorry, the final one world. What? Wait a second, what? But ComplexPlane makes it through Invisible. First try. Oh dear, this setup on Created By. There it is. There it is, everybody. ComplexPlane takes round 2. Not only does he take round 2, but he takes it with the same time that Peter got in round 1. 30:01. He turns things around. And with that, the set is 1-1. Holy crap. ComplexPlane only 13 seconds off of his PB with a race time. What fantastic play. Oh, and with that being said, in just a moment now, we're going to be moving on to Game 3 of the set. This is what everybody always wants to see. Everybody loves to see the Game 3. Alright, both players are running to the bathroom. They got a pee-pee poo-poo. And, hopefully, sometimes you've got your stressed shits. I'm sure both of these players are, feeling a little bit worried. Nobody knows which way it's gonna go because, as we've seen, it can go either way. Match is 1-1, which means this next round is set point. Whoever takes the next round takes the whole set and moves on. Whoever loses? Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm still not 100% familiar with the format of the tournament, but I think whoever loses this is out. Or are there tiebreakers? I don't know. Listen. I might have come here to commentate. That doesn't mean I'm prepared. That doesn't mean I'm smart. I'm doing my best. You did not miss it. As you can see, the score is 1-1. Hopefully Gongquai has been updating the scores. I have not been keeping track of what's on the stream. But yeah, it's 1-1, which means you are about to catch the final game, Game 3. Peter taking a little bit of time to go and practice Giant Comb. After all, he did fail it once. He did fail it a single time during round 2, and he wants to make sure he's got it down pat. After all, it's, not the best stage to fail. It's relatively long. Okay. When you are both ready, we are going to commence the final round. This match is... I'm actually not sure. I wasn't exactly prepared coming into commentating this. Nobody gave me any information. I was just asked, you know, oh, can you commentate on this in 30 minutes? Sorry for the rush. And I was like, sure. I don't have anything to do. Yeah, I'm not busy. So as far, the only thing I know is this is Peter versus ComplexPlane, and it's a best of 3. I wish I could give you more info. But you can check out the bracket, yeah. Right over there in the chat. Whoa, look at that. They've got a command to show you the bracket in the tournament stream. That's crazy. That's freaking crazy. So if you're interested in knowing what place this is for, check it out. Check it out! Both players are almost ready. Just gotta enter their file names. Both players conspiring in the race chat right now. They're both looking to get double 28s. We'll see if they can pull out the 28s. Both players are indeed ready. Peter has yet to even enter a name despite having readied up. ComplexPlane, that's very cute. Very cute, Peter. Alright, both players are ready. We're going to do countdown. Countdown incoming. This one's gonna be a lot more dramatic because it's the final round and we gotta make it count. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Oh no, Discord is rate limiting me. 1, go. I almost got rate limited by Discord. Screwed up my countdown. That's what I get for trying to be funny. Alright, everybody, let's move into the last round of the set. This is match point. Whoever takes this takes the entire thing. Not the tournament, just the set. Should make that, should clarify that, make it clear. Apparently, someone died on Hollow in the last round, and I did not notice. That's funny. Isn't that funny? I think that's funny. You'd think I'd notice somebody dying. Ooh. Slow as heck bumpy from ComplexPlane. Peter, not a crap ton better with a 51, but... Green goal switches, again, passing without much fanfare. Surprisingly, much harder than it looks. You think all you have to do is, oh, you just gotta fall into the tape, but the angle and the speed management is pretty tough if you're not super familiar with it. Simple floaters, clean floaters, not much to say. Some pretty bad walls for ComplexPlane on slopes. Both players make it into the goal, though. Frick yeah, Yash Browns. We're all very passionate about the game. I mean, it's one of the, if you ask me, it's one of the best games frickin' ever made. Simplistic controls, yet despite their simplicity, there's still so much room to master. And get really just amazingly skilled at the stage, at the controls and at the stages. It's got a freaking awesome aesthetic. Stage design is amazing. Like, there's very little not to love about Super Monkey Ball. Peter having a bit of a rough time with these pauses, doing them a little bit slow, trying to find the right frames. But it looks like both players get it first try. That marks a first for this set so far. both players make it out of World 1 with sub 250. ComplexPlane saving a ton of time over his PB. Are there monkey tennis tourneys? No, there are very few tourneys for the party games, the ones that require simultaneous play on the same console. Because all of that would require people to either live together or to do net play. And net play has its own fair share of issues. Between people's computers not being strong enough, their internet connections being weak, if people are too far away, the ping is so high that the input lag is unmanageable, stuff like that. But, races through the main game are something that we can do regardless of all of that nonsense. World 2 so far passing cleanly. We'll see if Bumpy Check is the start of rough roads for either player. No, they both get it. A lot is 2 words, by the way, Mets Jets Nation. It's not 1 word, it's 2 words. Ooh. ComplexPlane goes for the first ramp on Gravity Slider, despite the fact that he didn't have a whole lot of speed. It looks like he might get a 46. Yeah. Both players actually literally got the exact same time on Gravity Slider. 46, 86, I think? I'm not sure if I read that correctly, but I'm pretty sure they both got the exact same time. That's funny. Alright. Alternative frames. Ooh, that's unfortunate. ComplexPlane gets the alternative frames in 1 try. But Peter, unfortunately, misses it, opts to continue instead of retry. And so ComplexPlane enters World 3 just a little bit ahead. You're gonna have to clarify what you mean, Yash Browns. Oh, are you familiar? Are you not familiar with pause strats? So, there's an interesting detail in this game's physics. They're completely deterministic, which means that if you do the exact same inputs on a stage, on the exact same frames, your ball will move the same way every single time. And so a lot of players in speedruns will utilize the pause functionality in order to find specific frames on the timer at the top of the screen, which has a specific value for each frame. And that way they'll know what inputs to do on each frame to get the same thing every time. It lets you do seemingly impossible TAS-only stunts in real time. ComplexPlane having a bit of trouble on dribbles, tries to go for the slightly faster variation on the normal strat and fails it, but then successfully gets the super fast one. Are there backup strats if you mistime the pause? It depends on the strategy. There are some frame strats that have backup sets, where if you miss 1 frame, there's more frames that you can go for. And there are also pause strategies where even if you don't have any backup frames to hit, you can still save the attempt and not go flying into, flying to your death. You can recover back on stage and complete the stage the normal way. So yeah, that little bit of trouble on dribbles for ComplexPlane plus something else I might have missed allowed Peter to once again pull ahead slightly, but again, only slightly. For what it's worth, these players are almost completely even. A rough time on Twister for Peter. continues to allow ComplexPlane to close that lead. Neither player having any trouble on downhill. They make it look easy. And they head into World 4 practically even. As a matter of fact, ComplexPlane's only 3 seconds behind. Fantastic play from both players. This will be an opportunity for ComplexPlane to pull slightly ahead, as we can see Peter goes for the easier Beehive strat, while ComplexPlane has consistently been going for the A-list Beehive strat every single time, and he's nailed it every single time. As a result, ComplexPlane gains just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. ComplexPlane almost nails an exceptional backup where he bounces over and into the goal, but gets party balled at the last second and has to wait. What's considered a good time in story mode all levels? A sub 35. That's the cutoff for console, for requiring console video proof of your run. Sub 35 is where you can really say, yeah, you're a pretty good runner. You're pretty good at the game. Peter having some trouble on Launcher's green goal, fails it once and gets doesn't even get a chance to retry, or to save it, to rescue the attempt, because he gets deflected away to his demise. But ComplexPlane having even more trouble with launchers. He's stuck his ball so firmly to the side of the platform that he lost all of his vertical speed to friction going up the wall. A detail that you might not know about the way that the physics in this game work is that friction on the ball is actually dependent on the slope of the surface you're touching. So a flat floor like the one on the spawn platform has the least friction, but going straight up a wall has the most. So if you stick straight to the wall on launchers, there's a good chance that you're gonna lose almost all your speed, and if not narrowly make it up, then not even make it up at all. Ooh, ComplexPlane almost misses the green goal on coin launchers. Coin launchers? Oh, my brain's giving me a whole lot of Freudian slips today. Coin slots. Oh, no. ComplexPlane was slightly in the lead at one point in this world. But, has been struggling, and now he's almost 2 entire stages behind. I have no idea, Moondoc. Peter unfortunately misses Wormhole Skip for the third race, the third round in a row. Every single round so far he's missed Wormhole Skip and had to just do the level normally. Which, you know, that's another opportunity for ComplexPlane to pull even closer. Not a whole lot to say right now. Both players are just playing cleanly. Nothing particularly interesting happening on either side of the race. A little bit of a slow pause on beat screen from Peter, but he makes it. Once again, a little bit of a scary ending to Mad Shuffle for ComplexPlane. He charges forward at the end there, which puts him at risk of getting party balled. But both times that it's almost happened, he's still made it cleanly into the tape. Well, not cleanly, but safely. Little bit of a bounce around inside the goal tape on tower for Peter, but he makes it in. Playing Taco Toggle. That's very unfortunate. ComplexPlane was looking like he was pulling so close, about to tie it up, and he screws up Taco Toggle. Unfortunately, he gets a clip that he did not want, and lost all of his speed, and ended up having to retry. Bit of a rough fluctuation, but ComplexPlane makes it in. Great final clip on Zigzag Slope for Peter. As mentioned before, the reason that players like to go for clips, especially on longer horizontal stages like that, ooh, ComplexPlane getting a crazy bounce off the party ball, but thankfully it doesn't deflect him away, just upward, so he's still able to make it into the tape. But yeah, part of the reason you see players like to go for clips, even though it causes a momentary decrease in horizontal speed, you have the same control in this game in the air as you do on the ground, except when you're in the air, you're not affected by friction. And so the more airtime you have, the more speed you can gain by charging forward without being stuck or being pulled back by ground friction. Peter having a little bit of a rough time on Opera, retrying once and then having to get the backup set, but he makes it into the tape. Hopefully ComplexPlane can... There it is. He'd been having a bit of a rough time on combination these past two games, but this time he gets it cleanly and he gets it first try. That's the kind of play ComplexPlane's gonna need to pull out if he wants to get back into the lead. A clean green wire for Peter. Do these runners stream on Twitch? Yes, in fact. If you go into the Twitch games directory for Super Monkey Ball 2, you'll see both players are live on Twitch right now. That is how the Monkey Ball Speedruns channel is getting their gameplay. You'll be pleased to know that these are two of the top 5 players in the whole world. I'm actually... No, yeah, top 5. ComplexPlane is 5th, I believe. And 2 of the 5 players in the entire world with a sub 30-minute time. ComplexPlane has been playing quite cleanly in this world so far. If I'm not incorrect, if I didn't miss anything, he hasn't died yet in World 6. Commentator's curse, there it is. Peter gets Steven Switch Inferno quite easily. I believe that's 3 times in a row. I think ComplexPlane has only failed Switch Inferno a single time. Is Peter's time 2nd place? I thought it was A-list. I thought Peter was 3rd. Anyways, Peter makes it out of World 6. Just a little bit ahead of ComplexPlane. By about 2 stages. Again, a few small mistakes on Peter's part, and strong, consistent play from ComplexPlane will allow ComplexPlane to sever this lead. Peter decided not to be greedy on folders this time. As we can all tell. Okay, so yeah. I thought that when A-List got his sub 29 that he took second place from Peter. My bad. Also, I missed it. Did Peter get first cycle Spiral Bridge? ComplexPlane did get it. And he looks about as far behind as he was already, so I'm gonna assume yes. And if that is the case, then that means that both players have gotten first try, first cycle Spiral Bridge for all 3 rounds. 3 times in a row, both players got first cycle Spiral Bridge. That is beyond impressive. Again, we're looking at 2 of the best players in the entire world, so we shouldn't be surprised by their phenomenal consistency. And of course, as I say that, ComplexPlane struggles and gets a very unfortunate collision on Domino, which causes him to lose all of his speed. Peter going once again for the single bounce in hierarchy, this time with a bit of a rough angle, and that rough angle takes him out. He kind of bounces around inside of the goalposts and the party ball. Doesn't quite make it in. Second try, though. Hey, Chom. Very nice. Peter not having any more trouble with 8 bracelets, gets it first try. Interestingly enough, Flock has been giving both of these players a little bit of trouble in all of these races so far, but both of them, I believe, got it first try this time. World 7 has been giving them significantly less trouble than it has before. Do all frames have collision? What? That question assumes a fundamental misunderstanding in how collision works in this game, and it's not something that I can easily explain. Easily or quickly. In any case, Peter makes it out of World 7. ComplexPlane, though, still has a couple stages left. Sorry if my commentary is slowing down a bit. In any case, ComplexPlane is a good bit behind. Wait, did I miss it? Did ComplexPlane fail double spiral fast? Oh, twice? Oh, jeez. This is unfortunate. Oh, no. ComplexPlane. You hate to see it. You hate to see it, everybody. This is an extremely rough situation. With every single death on double spiral, ComplexPlane is losing at least 10 to 12 seconds. So that means almost an entire minute lost on one stage. Holy crap. That's extremely unfortunate, especially considering that I believe both players got it first try each time in the last 2 rounds. It's gonna take a miracle for ComplexPlane to pull ahead again. Peter's gonna need to make some tremendous mistakes, because he is almost half a world ahead. Something that's kind of hard to appreciate for a newer player in this game is just how particular every single little movement and every single setup is in this game. The top players make it look almost as easy as breathing. But for some of these strats that seem like they're just lining themselves up with things, they require particular timings and particular turns that if you screw them up even a little, because of the way that collision works in this game, you can lose the entire strategy and just roll over obstacles that you're supposed to bounce off of. That's part of also why these pause strategies are commonly used for especially complex strategies, because wow, a very nice backup from Peter. Because even if a player were to develop enough consistency to get the same setup every time, even minute differences can get you differences in collision that make a particular strat impossible to execute. Doing the pause strats ensures that you get the exact same setup every single time, and that your collision is always the same. With World 8's longest stage still ahead of him, ComplexPlane is a pretty long ways behind now, unfortunately. As long as Peter keeps up his play, this is looking to be a win secured. That was a long time ago that they were inside the whale. We're in outer space now, baby. Yeah, we're in outer space. You ever been to space? It's worth noting that ComplexPlane did actually gold his World 8. He played extremely well and got everything almost first try. Almost? I think he actually did get everything first try, or else he wouldn't have golded. But that's unfortunately not going to be enough. Peter is so far ahead that it's going to take more than just perfect play from ComplexPlane to close this lead. Peter's going to have to screw up somewhere, somehow. Preferably in a major way, if ComplexPlane is going to pull ahead here. Nice clean twin basin on Peter's part. That is very unfortunate. ComplexPlane pulled back just a slight bit too much coming off of the side here on Flat Maze, and as a result, he didn't have enough speed to make it to the gold tape ribbon. He just clipped off the side of the platform and got deflected into the abyss below. It's very important to manage your speed properly for flying strats like that. Bit of a scary corkscrew from Peter. He almost came in too fast. But Peter makes it into World 10. Quite a bit ahead. Interestingly, Peter is one of the only players I know who on training goes for the third from the left wire. Most players go for the second from the left. Practically speaking, I don't think they're a whole lot different in terms of speed. I think Peter just likes to flex a little bit. But who knows? I could be wrong. If Peter screws up this gimmick, that's opportunity for ComplexPlane, but of course, being the extremely consistent player he is, gets it first try. This is looking very bad for ComplexPlane. You know, obviously, we can't say for sure yet who's gonna win, because until we get to Invisible, anything is possible. But again, this is looking like a win secured for Peter. It's gonna take an absolute miracle, man. Not like a miracle man, but like a miracle, and then I'm speaking to you. Man. Peter seems a little bit uncertain of his frames right now. I think he just needed to dredge into his memory to pull up that backup set. And he gets it. Though the slow pausing, of course, gives ComplexPlane more time to close that gap. It's not going to be enough, though. ComplexPlane needs more. He needs more if he's going to pull anything, if he's going to pull a win out of this. He needs Peter to practically turn off his TV. He needs Peter to shut his game down at this point. This is a significant lead. We'll see what happens on Invisible.
Ready? Go!
ComplexPlane, despite the fact that, you know, I've been focusing on Peter, trying to see if he fails anything or if he succeeds, ComplexPlane has continued to play consistently and cleanly, save for the exit game. But unfortunately, so has Peter. Unfortunately for ComplexPlane, but very fortunate for Peter, who, if he gets this created by strat first try, there it is. 29-27. Peter takes it all. Well, no, he doesn't take it all. He takes this set. Peter's still got a ways to go in the tournament. Everybody, please give your congratulations to the victor of this set, Petresinc Incorporated. And, of course, give a round of applause, even though none of us can hear it, to our runner-up, ComplexPlane, who put up an outstanding fight, getting 3 30s, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 30s and a 31. Both of these players are outstanding, phenomenal players, and they gave us a great match. Everybody loves when we go to Game 3. I am going to tag them in the chat and see if they would be up for an interview, even though I have absolutely no interesting questions to ask them. But of course, everybody wants the interview. People love the interview. We gotta do the interview, right? We gotta. But yeah, we'll see if they want to do an interview. Great play from both players. ComplexPlane once again pulling the sub 31. Fantastic play. Sub 31 is extremely hard. Getting a 30 is... Gosh, I played this game quite a bit and I can't pull that off. But Peter taking it a step further with the sub 30. Gets a fat 29. Only 35 seconds off his PB and the man of the hour. Well, heck, we can ask him right now. What does he think? Hey, Peter. Oh. Wait, ComplexPlane also wants to get in on this interview business. So we'll wait a second for ComplexPlane to get in here, and then we will commence the questioning. Don't say anything, Peter. Don't say anything. We're waiting for ComplexPlane. If you say anything, there will be consequences. I will hurt you in ways you cannot imagine. These players have every right to be afraid of me. After all, they know what I'm capable of. Okay, we've got both players in the chat. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Super Monkey Ball interview with these two speedrunners. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want to see more interviews like this one. ComplexPlane, Petresinc, fantastic race. I don't think there was a single 31 or higher in that. Am I correct?
Yes.
What the heck? I thought I was watching a YouTube video. That was really creepy.
I think every single time during that race was either a 30 or faster. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So-
Think so.
I didn't get it. I didn't get
Yeah.
it. 31. I don't know about.
Fantastic consistency from both of you. That's awesome. It really goes to show just how much practice and how much time you've put in to be able to get that consistently fast. Even, you know, it's a no reset. It's a race. And of course, Peter pulling out the 29 at the last possible moment. Really awesome. What
Congrats,
did you
Peter. That was
expect?
crazy.
Yeah, it was awesome. What did y'all expect going into this race? Did you know, how did you think your opponent was gonna do? ComplexPlane, you go first.
Sure. Well, I thought I would lose for sure.
Really?
I think Peter. I couldn't see him losing this race. Honestly, I
That's-
think he definitely deserves to win. But it was at the same time, it was one of the most exciting races I've had in a long time. I'm sweating like crazy. It was a ton of fun. But Peter won fair and square.
That's a load of hooey. That's a load of hooey. You have
Oh,
not.
no.
I have not beaten you before in a tournament. Matt.
No.
You have defeated me every single time we've come up to each other.
That's
in a
why I
tournament.
knew you would win this one, because you wouldn't let me win it again.
The chances go up the more I lose in a row. Eventually, I have to win. Is that?
So that's I find that interesting. Peter, did you feel like maybe, especially with your recent practice and your 28, that you had that edge going into this race, that you had what it took to pull ahead despite your previous losses?
No, I don't think I'm a difference in the moment before I got the gate.
What about you, ComplexPlane? Despite the fact that you felt less confident going into this race, how did you feel when you made it 1-1, when you clutched that second round win?
Yeah, I thought that was like a 30-30. I was very surprised that was almost a 29 when I looked at my splits. So I was like, all right, well, you know, I mean, even being in the final bracket was way more than I could ask for. But like, you know, being able to do a third game with Peter was, you know, it really made me happy. So that's all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really special. That's why I made all my file names shoutouts to Complex.
Awesome.
Oh, I did see.
Did you not see
And
any of
then
them? Oh, I was
noting
so
on them every time. First it was his C-plex or something, and then it was like
Complex.
Palmclex. And then the third time, after Complex wrote Complex, you wrote Plane, and it spelled out the whole name. Everybody, I'd like to give a shout out to ComplexPlane, especially because I think it was either yesterday or today, he actually created a special ROM hack, a practice ROM hack for the game that allows you to practice an individual world much more easily than you could before by just selecting it straight from the story mode select screen, as opposed to creating a save file at the world you want to practice.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have been able to win without that. I appreciate that. That was huge. I installed that the moment I got home today, and then I did World 4, I did World 8, I did World 9, I did World 10.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, both players actually spent most of today practicing using that very ROM hack.
Oh yeah.
So I knew that they were going into this race very warmed up, and as we saw from the times, the 30s and the 29, that was very much the case.
Oh baby, a triple. That's awesome.
Yash
My
Brown
civic
wants
duty
to
to
know if
keep
you're a
away from it.
programmer, ComplexPlane. Is that true?
I am a programmer.
What do you do? What do you program? What languages are you familiar with? Have you
Can
ever
you
made
hack my
app?
Facebook?
Can you help me make my mobile phone game?
Can you hack my Facebook?
I can't do
I have
that.
printer issues. Can you help me out?
One time my sister was like, the printer wasn't working or something, and she was like, can you please fix the printer? And she was like, isn't this what you want to do when you grow up or something? I was like, no! What?
No.
ComplexPlane. You know I
He's
gotta
a
ask it.
programmer. Is what he is. He's
Yeah.
a programmer.
You gotta know. You know I gotta
can-
ask it. What was going through your head in the last race when you failed double spiral like 4
man.
times in a row?
Oh,
That
I was screaming
happened?
I was screaming like a little girl.
No! That's unfortunate, man. Up until that point, you still had a very real chance of pulling ahead and clutching a victory.
Yeah.
Even though Peter ended up pulling out that 29-27, I think you lost almost an entire minute to double spiral. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's alright. I've gotten way more out of this race than I could have wished for, so it's in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so despite the results, Both players are extremely happy. They love each other. They're great friends. And Peter's gonna be moving on to his. Who are you up against next, Peter? Out of curiosity, do you know?
If I know anything about tourneys, I'm gonna use my brain right now. Let's go check out the matches. Okay, let's see. So, wait. I got it. Hold on, I have an even better idea than what I was gonna do. Exclamation mark bracket in the chat.
Holy crap! This is
Let's
crazy.
have no one has prepared the actual top 8 bracket. All right, I have to actually figure this out on my own.
No, don't worry about it. In any case.
wait. I want to make a guess.
All right. Make a guess. That's probably gonna be completely wrong.
Okay, I'm gonna face the winner of A-List versus GA Cool.
Well, that's kind of dope. That's kind of awesome.
I think that's what it looks like. So.
All right.
That.
So
would be
there's
very
like a
cool.
20% chance. All right.
Yeah,
In
that
any
might be
case,
it.
Fantastic play from the both of you. Thank you so much for showing us all just how awesome this game can be, giving us a really close race with lots of, nail-biting moments.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to watch it back.
We should have seen how many times the lead changed hands in the second round. That was crazy.
Oh yeah.
I gotta see that, yeah, for sure.
I gotta watch
Okay.
this.
Thank you so much for joining me in this voice chat for this interview. Thank you so much for participating in this race. In fact, it actually looks like a few people who were new to the game showed up in chat and showed their love for the game. So,
That's
we're
awesome.
glad we could give y'all a wonderful introduction.
Yeah, please try doing this game if you're even a little bit interested. Whether it's picking up one strat, just trying it out for fun, or doing your run, with however you beat the stages currently. It's
Yeah.
fun to just play around with it and see if you like it.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
super easy to get into. And then if you like it, push yourself to learn new stuff and stuff. There's a lot of really, really deep stuff that's in this game. It's hard to
Yeah,
get it out once you get in.
Despite the fact that it's not one of the biggest speed games in the world, it has an incredibly active scene with over, I think, 15 or 20 active story mode all levels runners, if I'm
Early,
not
yeah.
mistaken.
Mhm.
Just
I
an
think it's as
insane-
active as Majora's Mask and Banjo-Kazooie actually currently, which are pretty big games. It's, pretty well
Yeah,
known.
this is like the biggest hype in the game recently. That is.
Yeah,
With
and world
I think this
record-
tournament and just a lot of people getting into it right now. Especially shouts to the Paper Mario community. There's 4 runners right now who are learning this game from the Paper Mario community.
That's
Don't know
so
what the
crazy.
correlation is, but that's awesome that they're all showing up. So
Yeah,
yo,
we're
there's
glad.
one. What's up, Blue Chris?
The game is growing, and it's growing faster than ever, and I could not be happier about it. But yeah,
Indeed.
thank you guys. I don't know what race is next. I don't know what race is coming up next.
No one's
when
scheduled
it's
their
gonna
thing
be.
yet, so it's out of control right now. It's crazy.
All right. I don't know anything. Listen, I was messaged 30 minutes before this race started because they didn't have a commentator. But I had a
Oh,
great
thank you.
time.
I forgot to say thank you to the commentator and restreamer. By the way, shout out to Gone Quiet Restreamer.
Shout outs to Gone
He's the
Quiet.
invisible. The invisible.
He's
Carrie.
the duct tape. He's the glue that holds this entire business together. He's done it.
Yeah. Oh wait, not totally
Seriously.
invisible. Actually, it says on the stream. Okay.
Uh,
Never mind. I take back my shout out.
Look at this kid trying to claim all the credit. What an egotist. Well, you think you could do this all by yourself, Gone Quiet? I'm goofing. I'm
No,
goofing.
seriously. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
quite seriously though, you're an awesome commentator. I cannot wait to watch this back. Thanks so much for commentating.
I just took a big shit on the floor. Anyways, thanks everybody for watching.
I didn't laugh. That was complex.
I'm gonna
Thanks a
go. I'm gonna go take care of the mess I just made. Hope
Okay.
everybody enjoyed the race. Hope everybody
GG
enjoyed my
Complex.
commentary. And
Peter.
hopefully
Good
not
luck,
everybody
dude.
wants to.
That was good. I was scared. That wasn't a bit, by the way. The fact that
Oh,
you
really?
beat me every other time I faced you, I was like, it's just gonna happen again, isn't it?
No,
Nothing should change. When it went to game 3, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get 29 or I'm gonna lose. That's how I felt.
Guys, I keep trying to end this interview.
I can't.
You
Yeah,
keep
sorry,
giving me...
interrupted. Sorry.
Get out of here! Get
Okay,
out of
goodbye.
here! Get out of here! All right, they're gone. Thanks everybody for watching. Oh my God, they both came. Can
Take back 2. That was a trick.
you believe these guys? Get out of here! Are they gone? I think they're gone. Okay. Guys, everybody, thank you for watching this speedrun stream. I'm gonna go play Fortnite.